going to be delivering a rather dull explanation of some of the policy things that are happening at the moment. I've just had a text this morning from Barry Shearman, who couldn't replace Chi in this presentation because he's had to rush off to do some voting. The same voting whip is the one that took away Chi Onwurah, who's supposed to be giving this presentation as the other co-chair of the Manufacturing Commission inquiry into industrial sustainability policy. Some of you get involved in policy making. Hands up those who somehow get it. That's cheating for those people. Some of you are genuinely full-time. But we're all in the job of informing. Every one of us. Monica, you didn't lift your hand up. I saw you being so nice to so many ministers. Is that not right? We all are. We're in the job of understanding our world, and our world is changing. I think I've heard people so many times in the last 2 days say, hey, my industry is not the same as it was 15 years ago, to steal some of Graham's thunder, who's going to speak in a couple of minutes. If we don't keep up with our own world, how can we expect politicians to keep up with our world? So it's part of our job. We've got to inform. If you wish, you can become political. That's a different thing. Informing policy is not the same as being political. For those who know me, Marx is somewhere over on my right. So we'll get that out of the way very quickly. But I desperately try just to help anybody. Every politician I know wants to help their country and their people. And if they had better understanding, that would be a good start. And our world is changing rapidly, both from an environmental and social viewpoint, but also from how business and industry works. We struggle to keep up. So please, let's help those people. I remember I did have a job at one time. I think it had a very fancy title, Sustainability Champion for the Minister for Skills. And you used to go into meetings and you used to get sort of like 20-minute slots, and that was it. That was the highlight of your like 6 weeks. And you'd go in and he would be shaking the hands of people leaving who'd been in there talking about, I don't know, the Sector Skills Council for Construction. And then you'd go in and talk about sustainability. And as you're leaving, you know, the Girl Scouts are coming in. And you're thinking, how the heck do these people understand the world? Every 20 minutes, their brain switches totally the subject. So please, let's help them. That's everybody's job. Please don't subcontract it to the small numbers of us who happen to get on a train and go into London and talk with people. And that's sort of my request here. It can be fun. Most of them, as you might have picked up last night for those who were listening to Barry and Jane, are quite approachable, especially after some wine. Did you notice? I think most of you did. That most of them are interested in the world. Not all, but most are genuinely interested in the world. And at the moment, industry, certainly in the UK, has a renewed enthusiasm for discussion amongst politicians. We've just heard Gunther. He comes from a country where that enthusiasm didn't seem to disappear, and we've been jealous for decades. We're getting better. We still don't have the same enthusiasm, and I would say we definitely don't have the same understanding of industry. But I want to talk in particular about something that we're helping with, which is the Manufacturing Commission. Commission is a combination of parliamentarians, industrialists, and academia. So its job is to inform. It's not to make policy or even to suggest specific policies. It does make recommendations about things that are important. It makes commentary about what works and what doesn't work in the world of industry and how policy impacts on that. We try not to duplicate what other people are doing. I think, again, Graham, we were talking at lunchtime. Graham will be talking later. It's very clear there are many activities going on at the moment. We have multiple sector strategies produced in the UK for industrial strategy. There is no point in anybody trying to talk over those things or ignore their existence. But we do think there is a very specific gap in the conversation that's happening at the moment. The conversation that is largely being driven at the moment includes terms like onshoring. Let's get manufacturing back. Let's have a march of the makers. As if somehow industry is going to solve a great number of problems that the UK seems to have got itself into. And there isn't much conversation about what that implies socially or environmentally. I'll just pick one dimension which I think is incredibly misunderstood. If we doubled manufacturing as a percentage of the GDP and reached the 20% target that was so fashionably talked about just last year, by the way, I think it's impossible. But even if we did do it, the one thing that we wouldn't do is create jobs for very poorly educated 16-year-olds. Manufacturing has gone past that point. And people who want more manufacturing in the UK because somehow it's going to help the unemployment problem misunderstand manufacturing, and we have to help them understand it. Now, if they misunderstand that, they're certainly going to misunderstand the relationship between industry and environmental sustainability, and that's part of what we're trying to inform about with the inquiry that we're currently running. If you have strong opinions on this matter, come and talk to us. I will also ask the three people to put their hands up who can direct you most clearly. I can't see you. Claire, Michael, Toby, are you there? I can see two arms. Toby's hiding. Come and talk to any of us, and we know ways of getting your information into the process. And we would welcome it. That was cheese speech, right? That was how boring it was going to be. I'm really sorry. I could have tried to make it even more boring, but I can't help it. I had to put something into it. I'm now going to talk about my ideas about the future of manufacturing, and this is rather important to us. So we've moved away from what the Manufacturing Commission is thinking of doing, and specifically about ideas that we're putting into that process and ideas that we're reflecting on. We've existed now as a centre for 4 years. We have about 12 months left. At the end of that 12 months, I have to say goodbye to 60 people. Nothing bothers me more every minute of every blinking day than worrying about that. I'm really sorry. It doesn't make me a pleasant person for the last year. I hope we can resolve that problem together because there is an exciting future out there and there's a real need. We haven't solved all of the problems needed to get to the goals that we've talked about. So we're looking to extend the life of the research centre that you're touching today. We're looking to extend that life out to 2023, by which time it should be genuinely sustainable of itself. We know about the numbers, we've talked about them. By 2050, factories of the world will be creating 4 times more output by value, etc. We know that the challenge requires some radical new solutions, and we've talked through the conference on efficiency, on technology, on value, and even on system transformation. And those remain the technical challenges that we need to do research on. This time around, we're allowed to expand our scope as a research centre. So previously, we've concentrated on the making process, And this time, we're being allowed to expand the scope into design and leadership. And we are grabbing that chance with enthusiasm because we think those three things interact incredibly importantly. And you can see from the work that we've done, we have combined making, designing, and leading, but it's been a little bit of a finesse because actually our funding was for making research. And if we've been doing design research, it's just because we've found a way of doing it rather cleverly. Where is EPSRC? Sorry. I just don't record that bit, okay? It's too late, too late. What are we going to try and do over the next 8 years? Well, we're not going to change very much. We still want to work on factories, products, the systems of industry and policies, informing policy rather than policy research. We still want to focus on what we as researchers are good at, which is learning how to understand things, delivering knowledge, transforming that knowledge into tools. I've heard it multiple times over the last 2 days, and I'm really proud to say that in 10 years' time, there's going to be a significant number of people out there working in industry, working in universities, working in the policy process who are better informed. We believe it's important to create visions of what success might look like. And we've even put some numbers to that. So the world is changing. Earlier on, and you'll see there's an absence of our logo on these slides, because I think the world is changing. And we're moving from a collaboration at the moment has 4 key universities at the center. We'll all still be together in the next incarnation. I think we've got to embrace as many universities as possible, and that's over 20, and I'll give you a list in a minute, and if you're not on the list, well, join or go away, right? We don't care. We only want people to join who want to join. Right? If you want to come for the money, it'll be obvious and we'll stop being nice to you and you won't get any money. If you want to come and join in solving the problem, that'll be obvious and we will help you find more money. The problem is too big and important to play games with. We hope by the end of that time to have had the joy of working with over 180 researchers and to be reaching thousands of organizations in the NEAR network. That doesn't mean 1,000 organizations have read a press release. That means working with thousands of companies. Our ambition has to be raised, and I hope you recognize the urgency and therefore the logic behind this. Now, if you're lucky or unlucky, your university might be named on this list. Anybody's not on the list? Anybody wants to rush down and rub themselves off? That would have been very publicly embarrassing, wouldn't it? If somebody had done exactly that. Honestly, if you're not there and you like the idea, please come and join. I haven't listed organizations that we haven't had a conversation with who want to be on the slide. So I'm not going to give a list of our industry collaborators and our third sector collaborators because we haven't had those official gatherings where people have said, yeah, please, it's okay to put your name on our slide. But I hope you would recognize that there are a good few organizations who might be on there. And if you think that you're not sure whether you are, then do come and join. Come and ask. One of our jobs is to persuade the government that spending the taxpayers' money funding the center is a good thing for the country. And what they've asked for very specifically are what challenges, national level challenges, is your center tackling? I hope it's blinking obvious that there are plenty of them, maybe too many. As a center, we might actually have a bit too much scope and ambition. But I would like to encourage you to help in answering this question. We're taking this question through the summer. We've been doing this for a few months already. We're going to continue it through the summer and through the early part of autumn, building a set of future challenges in as inclusive a way as we possibly can. We're using something that has been used before, a standard process that was previously used to create something that's called the manufacturing landscape document. Some of you have gone upstairs to the exhibition area and spent some time in the booth in the corner. It's specifically designed to suck ideas out of your brain about what the future challenges are. If you haven't, go up there before you leave, spend 10 minutes, leave your ideas up there about what the future challenges might be. If you don't want to do that today, there are standard forms. Just email us, and we will send you little Word forms, and you can fill it in, or send a video, or send an email about what you think the great challenges might be, and we have to synthesize those. It's not enough to have a list of 100 or 200 challenges, because the research budget requires that we become very focused. If you're interested in being part of the synthesis process, about bringing those together and narrowing them, do comment, and we'll let you join. We like lots of brains working together. I've left up some of the things that we picked out of the first conversations that we've been having. I'm not going to advocate any of these. We are still collecting, and we're not at the point of filtering yet. But these are ones that particularly caught my eye. Each nation is going to be competing globally on resource resilience. We've seen presentations this morning with actually some quite specific and good numbers on very specific resources, and we saw the well-known list of critical materials. But it's equally true for water, it's equally true for wheat, it's equally true for materials that are not on the critical list, that if your country uses less of those to create value, then when those resources are stressed, your country is going to do better. And there is an argument that we need to learn how to do that as a nation if we want to learn how to compete. Not just survive, but it actually, if you're good at it, it helps you compete. We've been doing this for some time. We constantly collect ideas about what might be important in the future. And this tends to be the slide that I use personally to collect ideas that I think are interesting. So this is a Steve view of future challenges, future technologies, future opportunities. Some of you will have seen it before. I apologize for the repetition. I'm not going to read through it for a change. But some of those changes are pretty dramatic. In the third wave of change, we're talking about research into new forms of governance. We're going to be asking questions which at the moment are not polite to ask. We have not talked today about the legal entity that is the corporation and why it has the shape that it has and the implications. That is going to come under pressure. And that's part of what we mean by research on new forms of governance as a third wave. The ambition, I hope you'll recognize, is high. Please come and join us. Thank you.